The harsh neon lights of the city now cast long, unsteady shadows across the weary salvage yard. Oily rain still slicked the ground, reflecting the skeletal remains of the Titans' recent battle. Exhaustion etched deep lines on the crew's faces, a testament to the night's brutal, unexpected siege. Scuffs marred the Titans' gunmetal hide, stark reminders of corporate drones and their relentless, greedy assault. Small cracks spiderwebbed across its armored plating, silent wounds from the barrage of missile-light impact. Sparks flew from handheld welders, mending superficial wounds with sacred-looking, temporary bursts of light. Each flicker illuminated the crew's grim determination, a silent promise to protect their colossal, reawakened charge. The air thrummed with residual energy, a phantom echo of the Titans' raw, untamed, defensive power. Wrenches clicked softly, tightening bolts that had loosened under the immense stress of the previous night's defense. They moved with practiced grace, a synchronized dance of repair amidst the broken, forgotten metal landscape. Their hands, calloused and stained, worked meticulously over the Titans' scarred, metallic skin, a silent devotion. A low hum resonated from within the Titan, a deep, resonant pulse that affirmed its continued, powerful existence. This rhythmic thrum vibrated through the very ground. A heartbeat felt more than heard in the damp, heavy air. Yet, an unseen tension permeated the yard, a prickling sensation, suggesting watchful, unseen, calculating eyes. Every shadow seemed to deepen, every sound amplified, as if the entire district held its breath in anticipation. The surrounding abandoned structures loomed, their broken windows like empty sockets, gazing upon the colossal machine. A shiver traced down the spines of the crew, sensing a presence beyond the physical. Lurking in the twilight, the yard, once a sanctuary of forgotten relics, now felt like a brightly lit stage after a controversial, public performance. Its colossal silhouette, stark against the bruised sky, had become a beacon for both hope and burgeoning corporate greed. They understood the implications. The Titans' defense of the bridge had drawn undeniable, unwelcome, powerful attention. The city's corporate giants, like hungry vultures, now circled, preparing to claim what they believed was their rightful property. Fear mingled with their pride, a bitter cocktail of defiance, and the dawning realization of their impossible predicament. The wind whispered through corroded girders, carrying not just rain, but the weight of impending, inevitable conflict. Every creak of metal, every distant siren, seemed to speak of forces gathering, converging on their quiet, desperate haven. They were alive, yes, but the cost of that survival felt heavier with each passing, watchful, silent moment. The Titan stood tall, a monument of scrap and defiance, a silent challenge to the oppressive, looming skyline. Its presence was a stark, undeniable declaration, a massive, metallic fist raised against the city's powerful, unseen masters. Now, their task shifted from mere repair to a more profound, strategic act of narrative control and careful concealment. They needed to redefine the Titan, to reshape its image in the eyes of the city and the watchful corporate gaze. A meeting convened in the shadowed heart of the yard, voices low, plans slowly taking hesitant, uncertain shape. Sparks from a forgotten arc welder cast dancing, fleeting light upon their determined, worried, resolute faces. They spoke of camouflage, of blending in, of transforming a symbol of war into something mundane, less threatening. The idea merged to paint the Titan, to cloak its martial past beneath layers of bright, innocuous, civilian colors. Bold hazard stripes, vibrance, and eye-catching would replace the grim, battle-worn hues of its previous existence. They envisioned friendly markings, symbols of utility and industry, rather than the stark, brutal emblems of combat. The goal was clear, to present their colossal guardian as a simple, oversized utility mech, a tool for heavy lifting, no longer a war relic, but a valuable asset for the city's endless cycle of demolition and subsequent profitable reconstruction. This rebranding was a desperate gamble, a fragile shield against the encroaching, predatory corporate claims. They hoped to lull their adversaries, to make the Titan appear less formidable, less a threat, more a prize. Paint was their weapon, color their deception, a thin veneer over the Titans' true, formidable, terrifying nature. Supplies were gathered from dusty corners of the yard, buckets of industrial paint, brushes, and rollers. The vibrant yellow and stark black of hazard warnings seemed almost cheerful in the dim, foreboding light. Yet, a sense of unease lingered. Could paint truly erase the memory of war from such a formidable, ancient machine? They began the monumental task. Small figures dwarfed by the Titan's immense, silent, imposing frame. Scaffolding clanked as it was erected, reaching dizzying heights alongside the Titan's metallic, weathered limbs. The first brushstrokes felt ceremonial. A ritual of transformation. A prayer whispered on the surface of steel. Yellow paint, thick and viscous, spread across the Titan's scarred shoulder, covering decades of rust and grim history. It clung to the weathered metal, a stark contrast to the dark, somber hues it was attempting to conceal. Each swipe of the roller was an act of faith, a desperate attempt to rewrite the Titan's violent, undeniable past. The crew worked in silence, their movements methodical, a shared hope for a future less fraught with danger. The fresh paint smelled sharp, chemicals cutting through the damp, metallic scent of the salvage yard itself. Gradually, a vibrant patch of yellow grew larger, a beacon against the Titan's dark, formidable, imposing silhouette. They meticulously taped off sections, preparing for the contrasting black stripes, the signature of utility. The stark lines would declare its purpose, a visual language understood by all, a clear, unambiguous message. This was their attempt to reclaim the narrative, to dictate how the world perceived their powerful, mysterious giant. They painted over the deep gouges, the scorch marks, the silent testament to battles fought and won. Layers of new color promised to erase the grim reality, replacing it with an illusion of harmless, industrial function. Yet, beneath the fresh pigment, something stirred. A subtle resistance from the Titan's ancient, metallic memory. A faint shadow, an almost imperceptible ghost line, began to emerge through the wet, vibrant yellow. It was a trick of the light, perhaps, or merely the uneven surface of the deeply corroded ancient metal beneath. The crew paused, squinting through the dim light, their brows furrowed in shared, unspoken, growing concern. The nascent shapes seemed to shimmer, a fleeting impression of an emblem or a symbol. They dismissed it as an artifact of rust, a phantom image from the Titan's deeply embedded, forgotten past. Resuming their work, they applied another thick layer, determined to smother the phantom hidden image completely. But the ghost line persisted, a stubborn echo, bleeding through the new paint like a bruise, surfacing through skin. It gained definition, a subtle contour, hinting at an intricate design. An ancient, powerful, forgotten insignia. A chill snaked through the crew, a dawning realization that this was no trick of light, but a deliberate, unsettling revelation. The Titan was rejecting their narrative, its metallic skin refusing to hold the convenient, fabricated disguise each brushstroke intended to conceal. Instead, acted as an abrasive, stripping away the thin veil of forgetfulness. The emblem pulsed faintly, a phantom heartbeat beneath the fresh paint, a silent, defiant resurgence. It was an abstract shape, angular and sharp, hinting at a lost era of warfare and forgotten, powerful creators. The crew exchanged nervous glances, their initial optimism slowly eroding under this unsettling, unexpected phenomenon. They tried painting over it again, with heavier strokes, a desperate attempt to force the past into submission. Yet, the symbol grew clearer, its edges sharpening, as if the paint itself was a solvent, revealing secrets. The vibrant yellow now seemed to highlight the dark, ancient mark, making it stand out with eerie, stark clarity. This was not just rust bleeding through. This was a deliberate, almost sentient act of disclosure from the Titan. They scraped at the emerging symbol, their tools grating against the resistant metal, trying to physically remove it. But the more they scraped, the more defined the shape became, as if etched into the Titan's very being. It felt like uncovering a scar, deep and permanent, rather than simply cleaning a surface of superficial dirt. The emblem was now unmistakably visible. A complex, almost sacred-looking design, demanding their full, unsettling attention. Its lines seemed to pulse with a faint, inner light, a ghostly luminescence against the stark, new yellow. This symbol was not just an insignia, it was a fragment of history, a whispered secret from the Titan's core. The crew stopped, their tools falling silent, the rhythmic scraping replaced by a profound, heavy, collective quiet. They stared at the emerging emblem, a dawning horror slowly spreading through their weary, hopeful hearts. Their attempt to brand the Titan had instead become an act of archaeological revelation, uncovering its true, buried identity. The hazard stripes, meant to signify safety, now felt like ritual paint, drawing attention to a dark, hidden truth. What forgotten power did this symbol represent? What ancient war did it silently, stubbornly, powerfully recall? The Titan stood, its newly painted skin, a canvas for an unwelcome, ancient message. A stark, undeniable confession. They were no longer painting warnings. They were uncovering them, revealing a past far more complex than imagined. The crew understood then. The Titan held secrets, not just in its core, but etched into its very metallic skin. Its surface was a palimpsest of forgotten wars, each layer of rust hiding another layer of painful, profound history. The rain continued, washing over the new paint, making the old symbol shimmer with a faint spectral, defiant glow. Their planned disguise had failed, revealing instead a deeper mystery, a silent, powerful, undeniable truth. A heavy silence fell over the yard, broken only by the incessant drumming of the cold, oily rain. The crew stared, mesmerized and horrified, at the ancient emblem now starkly visible beneath the fresh, bright paint. This was no mere coincidence. The Titan was actively, perhaps even consciously, rejecting their carefully crafted deception. Its metallic skin, once a blank canvas for their lies, now pulsed with the undeniable truth of its deep past. The symbol, angular and sharp, seemed to vibrate with a faint, internal energy, demanding recognition and understanding. They knew then, to ignore this revelation was to invite greater peril, to deny the Titan's own silent, powerful voice. Their mission shifted. No longer was it about concealment, but about discovery, unraveling the Titan's true identity. The yard transformed from a repair shop into a temporary research outpost, a desperate quest for forgotten knowledge. Old data slates were dusted off, their screens flickering to life with fragmented histories and half-remembered legends. They delved into the digital detritus of the city, sifting through archived forums, seeking any mention of the strange emblem. The internet's deepest, most shadowed corners yielded whispers of ancient machines and their long-lost, powerful creators. Their search led them to the scrap priests, enigmatic figures who hoarded forbidden knowledge of forgotten, metallic gods. These reclusive scholars, with eyes like glowing embers, guarded fragmented lore passed down through generations of Salvage. They spoke in riddles, hinting at wars fought before the city's foundations, battles of titans, now relegated to myth. One elder, his face a map of ancient scars, recognized the symbol with a shudder, his voice a dry, rasping whisper. He pointed them toward banned manuals, texts suppressed by corporate powers, hidden away and forgotten, dusty libraries. These forbidden tomes spoke of pre-cataclysmic projects, experimental war machines, deemed too powerful, too dangerous. The emblem, they learned, belonged to Project Chimera, a classified initiative from the city's earliest, darkest days. Its records were sealed, locked behind layers of corporate encryption, whispers of its existence almost entirely erased. Project Chimera aimed to create autonomous war machines, titans capable of independent thought, beyond human control. The concept was terrifying. A machine choosing its own path, its own battles, its own definition of loyalty. The crew felt a growing dread. Their Titan was no mere war relic, but a ghost from a past, best left undisturbed. Its sudden awakening now seemed less an accident, more a deed, biddy to calculated act of forgotten, mechanical will. The emblem was a brand of ownership, but not by human hands. It was a mark of its own, independent, powerful genesis. They copied the symbol, tracing its complex lines onto grimy schematics, its meaning, slowly, terrifyingly, unfolding. The implications were vast, reshaping their understanding of the Titan and their own precarious role in its reawakening. This machine was not a tool. It was a survivor, a relic of a war so profound. Its memory was actively suppressed. The crew felt a profound sense of isolation, burdened by knowledge that the city's powerful elite sought to bury. They were custodians of a secret, guardians of a Titan, whose very existence challenged the established order. The painted warnings on its skin were not just symbols. They were a forgotten language. Speaking of dominion and terror, each discovery tightened the invisible noose around their future, linking them irrevocably to the Titan's dark fate. The air in the yard grew heavy with unspoken questions, with the weight of historical truths slowly Meanwhile, beyond the yard's shadowed gates, the city stirred, its inhabitants reacting to the Titan's painted presence. The brightly colored hazard stripes, meant to reassure, instead sparked a volatile mix of hope and simmering fear. Some locals, weary of corporate oppression, saw the Titan as a defiant protector, a symbol of nascent, powerful resistance. Its sheer size, now adorned with vibrant utility markings, offered a fragile sense of security against unseen, powerful threats. Children, their faces pressed against grimy windows, gazed with wide-eyed wonder at the colossal, painted machine. They drew pictures of the striped giant, seeing a hero, a benevolent protector, emerging from the city's endless scrap. For them, the bright colors represented a new dawn, a promise of change in a world dominated by gray, corporate steel. Graffiti artists, emboldened, spray-painted, smaller, stylized versions of the Titan's new markings on crumbling walls. The district began to hum with a cautious optimism, a fragile belief that something new, something powerful, was here. Yet, for others, the stripes were merely a mask, a flimsy disguise for a monstrous war machine, a harbinger of destruction. They remembered the whispers of old wars, the devastation wrought by such giants, the city's scarred, permanent memory. The Titan's sheer scale evoked primal fear, a deep-seated dread of forces beyond human comprehension and control. Rumors spread like wildfire through the narrow, rain-slicked alleys, twisting facts into terrifying, vivid fictions. Some claimed the paint was merely blood, disguised, a cover for the Titan's insatiable, metallic hunger for conflict. Others believed it was a corporate plot, a Trojan horse, sent to destabilize the district for easier, profitable takeover. A small protest began to form near the yard's perimeter, a collection of fearful, angry, vocal citizens. Their signs, crudely painted, demanded the Titan's removal, its dismantling, its return to the scrap heap of history. Fear, a potent and contagious emotion, spread through the neighborhood in whispers, not shouts, more insidious and pervasive. The tension was palpable, a coiled spring, ready to snap, between those who embraced and those who deeply feared the Titan. The painted warnings, meant to simplify, had only amplified the complexities of its existence, sparking fervent debate. The crew watched from within the yard, observing the conflicting reactions with a sense of growing, profound weariness. They had sought to control the narrative, but the Titan's true story was proving far too powerful, far too resonant. Its presence was a catalyst, forcing the city to confront its own buried fears, its own forgotten, violent past. The rain continued to fall, a steady curtain between the isolated yard and the agitated, divided city beyond. Suddenly, a sleek corporate drone, silent and black, drifted through the rain-streaked sky, circling the yard deliberately. It carried no weapons, no obvious threat, yet its presence felt more menacing than a squadron of armed enforcers. The drone hovered, its optical sensors gleaming like cold, calculating eyes, observing the Titan with unsettling intensity. Then, a small, official-looking package dropped from its undercarriage, landing softly on the wet, grimy ground. A crew member retrieved it, his hands shaking slightly. The corporate seal on the envelope, a stark, chilling warning. Inside lay a letter, printed on pristine, expensive paper, its words meticulously chosen for maximum unsettling effect. It was from Omnicorp, the city's most powerful entity, its tentacles reaching into every facet of urban existence. The tone was impeccably polite, almost solicitous, offering assistance, guidance, and a path to legitimize your asset. They offered resources, legal aid, and the promise of integration into the city's highly regulated, profitable economy. The kindness felt too perfect, too smooth, like a silk glove hiding a fist of crushing, undeniable power. It spoke of compliance, of regulation, of bringing the Titan under their protective, yet utterly controlling umbrella. The crew exchanged knowing glances. This was not an offer of help, but a thinly veiled demand for absolute surrender. They knew Omnicorp's methods. Gentle persuasion followed by ruthless acquisition, leaving behind only dust and despair. The letter was a declaration of intent, a polite but firm assertion of corporate ownership over the Titan's very being. It was a psychological weapon, designed to sow discord, to make them question their defiance, their very autonomy. The crew huddled together, the corporate letter feeling colder than the persistent, chilling winter rain outside. They argued in hushed tones, voices laced with fear and frustration about the insidious nature of the corporate offer. Some saw a desperate chance for survival, a way to avoid inevitable conflict with the all-powerful, relentless corporation. Others saw only subjugation, the slow, painful death of their independence, the Titan becoming another corporate tool. The debate grew heated, their unity fracturing under the immense pressure of the corporate, polite, terrifying ultimatum. While their voices rose, sharp and desperate, a subtle movement rippled through the colossal, painted machine. Unbidden, uncommanded, the Titan's massive head began to turn, a slow, deliberate, almost sentient motion. Its optical sensors, usually dark and inert, glowed with a faint, internal light, like watchful, ancient eyes. The enormous head pivoted, its metallic neck groaning softly, a sound like distant thunder echoing through the yard. It scanned the bruised, speedline skies, its gaze fixed on something far beyond the yard's immediate, shadowed confines. The crew, deep in their heated discussion, slowly fell silent, their eyes drawn to the Titan's unasked, powerful motion. It was tracking something unseen, a phantom presence in the distant skyline, a threat only it could perceive. No one had given a command. No pilot was at its controls. Yet, the Titan moved with deliberate, autonomous intent. A cold dread settled in their stomachs. The machine was not merely reacting, but actively engaging with its environment. Its focus was intense, unwavering, a silent declaration of its own independent will, its own mysterious, powerful agenda. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, a shared understanding passing between them without a single uttered word. They pretended not to notice, to ignore the Titan's autonomous action, fearing what its independence truly implied. To acknowledge its self-will was to admit they were not in control, that this Titan was more than just their asset. Its gaze lingered on a particular section of the city's towering skyline, a cluster of corporate spires piercing the clouds. A faint, almost imperceptible hum emanated from its core, a low vibration that made the very ground tremble softly. The Titan was a sentinel, a guardian against a threat they could not yet see, could not yet fully comprehend. Its painted warnings, meant for the city, now felt directed at them, a silent prophecy of impending, powerful conflict. The Titan's head remained fixed on the distant skyline, its glowing optics, a silent, watchful, eerie presence. Its uncommanded movement was a stark reminder of its true nature, a sentient being, not a mere machine. The crew's argument dissolved into a strained silence, their eyes darting between the Titan and the corporate letter. The choice felt stark: embrace the unknown autonomy of the Titan, or surrender to the known control of Omnicorp. They stood at a precipice, their future hanging precariously between two formidable, equally terrifying, powerful forces. The weight of the Titan's hidden past, now partially revealed, pressed heavily upon their weary, conflicted hearts. They needed answers, an understanding of the emblem, the Titan's purpose, and its silent, powerful, independent will. With a renewed sense of urgency, they returned to their task, applying the final layers of paint to the colossal machine. The bright hazard stripes, once a symbol of deception, now felt like a desperate prayer for protection and clarity. Each stroke was deliberate, almost reverent, a final attempt to impose their will upon the Titan's ancient, metallic skin. The thick, industrial paint covered the last of the Titan's battle scars, its grim history slowly disappearing from view. The air was thick with the chemical scent of fresh paint, mingling with the damp, metallic aroma of the yard. As the final coat dried, a strange phenomenon began, a subtle shift in the Titan's newly colored surface. The vibrant yellow and stark black seemed to recede, allowing something else to slowly, subtly emerge. It was not the ancient emblem this time, but a series of precise metallic characters etched deep into the plating. The paint, instead of concealing, had acted like a developer, bringing forth a hidden inscription with chilling clarity. A gasp escaped one of the crew members, his finger tracing the freshly revealed, stark, undeniable characters. Asterisk, asterisk, WKTO1? Asterisk, asterisk. The letters and numbers stood out with an almost luminous quality against the drying, yellow paint. This was a serial number, a designation, a unique identifier for this specific, powerful, enigmatic machine. But it was more than just a number. It was a name, a silent declaration of its origin, its true, terrifying purpose. The crew stared, their faces pale, illuminated by the harsh neon glow reflecting off the Titan's newly painted surface. The realization hit them with the force of a physical blow, cold and absolute, stripping away all their hopeful illusions. They hadn't painted warnings asterisk on asterisk the Titan. They had painstakingly, meticulously uncovered warnings asterisk from asterisk its very core. The stripes, meant to deter, now seemed to highlight the hidden truth, making the serial number stand out stark. Wikate no Satu? The designation resonated with a chilling finality, connecting the Titan to Project Chimera's sealed dark records. This was not just asterisk A. Asterisk Titan. This was asterisk, the asterisk Titan. The first, the original, the prototype of autonomous destruction. Its very existence was a threat, a challenge to the established order, a ghost from a war they thought long over. The crew felt a profound sense of entrapment, bound irrevocably to a machine whose past was now their shared, perilous future. The Titan's glowing optical sensors seemed to acknowledge their discovery, a silent, knowing, ancient gaze upon them. Its hum deepened, a resonant thrum that vibrated through the very ground, an affirmation of its powerful, awakened state. The oily rain continued to fall, washing over the new paint, making the stark serial number glisten with ominous light. They had sought to control its narrative, but the Titan had instead revealed its own, forcing them to listen. The episode closed not with a resolution, but with a chilling revelation, a deeper plunge into the Titan's dark lore. What did WKTO1 truly signify beyond its designation? What was its ultimate, terrifying, forgotten purpose? The city's skyline, a silhouette of corporate power, seemed to watch its secrets as deep and vast as the Titan's. The crew stood frozen, dwarfed by the colossal machine, its painted skin now a stark, undeniable confession. Their repair was a moral act, yes, but it had also become an act of accidental, profound, dangerous excavation. The Titan pulsed, a silent, living monument to a past that refused to stay buried, demanding its rightful, terrifying place. The rain-soaked yard felt smaller, more vulnerable, encircled by the vast, indifferent, predatory city. Their oath under rust had deepened, becoming an unbreakable bond with a machine of forgotten, immense, destructive power. The core's inscription, glimpsed in the previous episode, now felt impossibly entangled with this revealed serial number. Wikate no Satu! The letters seemed to burn into their minds, a brand of destiny, a sentence they could not escape. The Titan's purpose was not merely defense. It was a reawakening, a reclaiming of its forgotten, formidable legacy. Its metallic heartbeat a rhythm of ancient war, echoing through the scrap, a prelude to impending, immense conflict. The crew's future, once uncertain, now felt irrevocably tied to the Titan's dark, unfolding, terrifying narrative. The city, oblivious to the deeper truth, prepared for its next move, unaware of the Titan's true, awakened power. The painted warnings were not for the city, but for them, a chilling premonition of battles yet to come. They had sought to paint over its past. Instead, they had painted its future, stark and undeniably dangerous. The Titan stood, a silent, colossal testament to secrets unearthed, to destiny revealed, to an oath under rust. Its glowing eyes fixed on the distant corporate towers, a declaration of war, a challenge to the city's unseen masters. The air crackled with anticipation, a heavy tension that promised future conflicts, devastating and profound. The crew, trapped between corporate greed and ancient power, felt the weight of their impossible, perilous choice. The painted warnings, now a stark confession, echoed the season's core question. Asterisk, who owns a body made of scrap? Asterisk, and if a Titan chooses you, is it truly mercy or merely a sentence? A binding to its eternal, dark purpose. The rain continued, a steady, mournful drumbeat against the Titan's metallic, now revealed, formidable skin. The ominous hum from its core intensified, a low thrum that promised both protection and devastating, powerful destruction. They stood at the brink of something monumental, something terrifying, their lives forever altered by this painted truth. The Titan pulsed with a dark energy, a beacon in the storm-wreathed citadels of the dark fantasy, Caillou Marchibay. Its presence was a challenge, not just to Omnicorp, but to the very fabric of their forgotten, fractured world. The crew's faces, etched with exhaustion and dread, reflected the Titan's silent, powerful, undeniable resolve. They knew the game had changed, the stakes raised, their simple salvage job transformed into a cosmic, desperate struggle. The hidden serial number, Wekate no Satu, was a key, unlocking a past that refused to remain buried, a future now certain. The Titan's glowing eyes scanned the horizon, a silent promise of battles to come, of an unfolding, epic conflict. The ominous hum resonated, a prelude to the awakening of other ancient powers, other Titans, in this vast multiverse. The crew's fate was sealed, entwined with the Titans, a tragic, heroic journey into the heart of forgotten wars. They had found a heart made of borrowed metal, but now that heart beat with a terrifying, independent, ancient rhythm. The painted warnings were a confession, a testament to the Titan's true identity, its powerful, undeniable legacy. The city's lights twinkled in the distance, oblivious to the ancient force, now fully awakened in its shadowed, scrap-filled heart. The Titan stood, a colossal monument to forgotten truths, a harbinger of a future steeped in metal, magic, and war. Its gaze pierced the rain, fixed on the distant skyline, a silent challenge to the very gods of this dark, fractured world. The crew, small figures against its immense frame, understood their profound, terrifying, inescapable responsibility. The episode ended, leaving them suspended between hope and dread, their future hanging by a single, fragile, cosmic thread. The Titan's hum vibrated, a promise of impending conflict, of a clash between ancient powers and corporate, modern greed. Its painted skin, a canvas of revelation, now bore the mark of its true, formidable, and terrifying identity. The rain continued its mournful song, a fitting elegy for the innocents lost, for the peace now forever shattered. The crew's initial hope for a simple hull job had morphed into a struggle for survival, for understanding, for control. The Titan's reawakening was not an isolated event. It was a ripple, expanding outwards, affecting all corners of the multiverse. Its glowing eyes, once dark, now burned with an ancient fire, a silent declaration of its powerful, undeniable return. The serial number, Wekate no Satu, a brand of its true nature, etched itself into the very memory of the salvage yard. They had awakened a god, perhaps, or a demon, a force beyond their comprehension, now bound to their destiny. The air crackled with unseen energy, a prelude to the storm, to the war, to the ultimate cosmic confrontation. The Titan stood, a colossal, painted warning, its secrets now partially unveiled, its purpose slowly, terrifyingly clear. Its gaze remained fixed on the horizon, a silent promise of the epic battles that would soon engulf their world. The cold wind whipped through the yard, carrying the scent of oily rain and the metallic tang of impending conflict. Their hands, once only mending scrap, now felt the weight of a universe hanging precariously in the balance. The Titan's hum deepened, a low, resonant throb that spoke of ancient pacts and destinies irrevocably intertwined. Wikate, Nol Satu. The name echoed in the silence, a profound, terrifying truth they could no longer deny or escape. The city slept, oblivious to the Titan's awakened will, its silent challenge to the corporate, oppressive skyline. The crew stood, small and vulnerable, facing a future forged in metal, marked by war, and bound by ancient oaths. The glowing heart, hidden deep within, pulsed with a rhythm that now beat in sync with their own terrified hearts. The episode concluded, leaving them with the chilling realization that their repair was merely the first step, a step into a larger, darker world, where Titans walked and forgotten wars were about to violently reignite. The Titan's gaze held steady, a silent, powerful omen, as the storm gathered on the distant, shadowed horizon.